Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Mike McCracken, coming back to you with another episode here on the Slack and McCracken Sports Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about a highly respected individual in the NFL, and that is Von Miller, a two-time Super Bowl champion, a Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl 50, NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2011, a three-time first-team All-Pro, four-time second-team All-Pro, eight-time Pro Bowler, NFL 2010's All-Decade Team, a winner of the Butkus Award in 2010 and 2012. In college, first-team All-American, and first-team All-Big 12, not once but twice in 2009 and 2010. We're going to be going over Von Miller's career up to this point. We're going to be going over how we got here, and how he ended up in a Buffalo Bills uniform, because honestly, nobody saw this coming. So, Von Miller comes to the Bills after winning the Super Bowl with the Rams, but before joining the Rams, Miller played with the Denver Broncos for 9.5 seasons. He was the second overall selection of the 2011 draft, and his first play in his first ever NFL career, first play from scrimmage, he forced a fumble against the Raiders. He ended up finishing that rookie season with the 2011 Rookie of the Year for defense. He had his first Pro Bowl appearance that year, and he finished the year with 64 combined tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 4 pass deflections, 11.5 sacks, followed by 68 combined tackles, 6 forced fumbles, and an interception that was returned for 26 yards leading to a touchdown, along with 2 pass deflections and 18.5 sacks the following year in 2012. Those are just his first 2 years in the fucking league. That season, he ends up taking home his second Pro Bowl. He was fined $21,000 for a hit on then Panthers quarterback Cam Newton. The following week, though, despite having that happen to him, he bounces back, receives AFC Defensive Player of the Week. This is going to be a theme with Von Miller. Something happens to him, and he bounces back. It's been a theme his entire career, so whether it's big or small. And when these guys get down, but they end up back on top, these great players you see in the league, it happens all the time. You even see it in hockey, too. These players that come in the league, and they're dominant, and then they're off for a year, maybe 2, and then they come back on top the following season. That's how you tell who's good at this game, who can stay in this game the longest at a high level. And that's something Von Miller has done his entire career. Here's a prime example. In 2013, after coming off 2 great seasons, a good rookie season and a great second season, no sophomore slump, he starts the season late and he finishes it early. He violates the NFL substance abuse policy for cheating a drug test, mind you. He tried to appeal the drug test, but that ultimately failed. He is suspended for the first 6 games of that season. Later on in the year, December, he tears his ACL. Done for the year. Broncos go to that Super Bowl. They lose it to the Seahawks, get completely crushed, completely demolished by Russell Wilson and the Legion of Boom. Not even in the game. And I bet that's still got a sting for Von. You're on the sideline watching your team just get completely demolished and embarrassed on national television in the biggest game on the biggest stage. And there's nothing you can do about it. That's got a sting. So he comes back. And he doesn't just come back, right? Comes back better than ever. 2014, Miller accumulates 59 combined tackles, 14 sacks, 1 forced fumble. And he also recovered one of those fumbles. 2 pass deflections that year. And another Pro Bowl nod. 2015, arguably Miller's best year. Becomes the 3rd fastest player in NFL history to reach 50 sacks. Then the Broncos go to another Super Bowl. This time, Miller completely dominates in that Super Bowl. Ends up taking home Super Bowl MVP. And how can you blame him? I mean, the stats do show, but you just had to watch Von Miller that 2015 season. So his stats in 2015, in the regular season: 35 combined tackles, 11 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, 1 pass deflection. In the playoffs, though, plays all 3 games, starts all 3 games. 13 combined tackles, 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 interception for 4 yards, and 2 pass deflections. I mean, just absolutely dominant that whole year. Headed down, grade in sacks, sure, but just an overall good year for Von Miller. But he also has DeMarcus Ware on the roster. That only doesn't just help him on the football field grow as a player, but he grew as a man. And he speaks about DeMarcus Ware every now and then. You hear him talk about how he helped him become a better man, how he helped him change his game, get to know the game better, and it even helped him slow his game down even more than it was already slowed down for Von Miller. I mean, them two together, that was fun to watch too. because watch that Broncos team when they had Manning, they had even Wes Welker at the time, they had Demaryius Thomas, Julius Thomas, like that stretch from 2013 to 2015, it was a fun team to watch. It just was. In 2016, the following season as defending champions, Von has a career-high 78 tackles, has 3 forced fumbles, 3 pass deflections, along with 13.5 sacks. Went for his 3rd consecutive Pro Bowl. Broncos never went back to the Super Bowl, and they haven't been back to one since. Neither of the Panthers. Dominant showing again. 2017. Selected to his 6th Pro Bowl that year. Pro Bowl defensive MVP. Sure, it's the Pro Bowl, but still, stacking up. The awards stack up, and it helps your resume as a player, especially for if you want to try and get into the Hall of Fame. This was his 4th consecutive season with double-digit sack numbers. This time with just 10, but he had 57 combined tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, and 3 pass deflections in 2017. Following season 2018, 48 combined tackles, 14.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 1 interception, 3 pass deflections. And this was also the same year Miller recorded his 100th career sack, becoming the 5th fastest player in NFL history to do so. Selected to the Pro Bowl for the 5th consecutive season. What's my point here? Since his injury in 2013, tearing his ACL, comes back stronger and better. Despite tearing an ACL, proves to the league that wouldn't slow him down and becomes one of the best premier rushers in the league. And it showed. It showed on the field, showed even off the field. He wasn't getting into trouble. 2019, however, Von only has 8 sacks. Still selected to a Pro Bowl, had 46 combined tackles, 2 pass deflections, and not a bad year. But in 2020, this was the COVID-19 season, suffers an ankle injury that was considered freakish, quote, but it happened during practice. He missed the entire season and never played. Broncos exercised his option in 2021, so he comes back the following season, but he ends up getting traded to the LA Rams for a 2nd and 3rd round pick. In 7 games with Denver, though, Von Miller had 19 tackles, just 4.5 sacks. But the thing was, and a lot of Broncos fans have mentioned this, Vic Fangio's style of defense put Von Miller into coverage. It made him ineffective. Vic Fangio was limiting Von Miller's strengths, so Von just disappeared. And you didn't even really hear about him that much in 2019 either. I mean, Von Miller did disappear after that dominant stretch. Well, now, Von Miller moves out west with Sean McVay, a Rams defense led by Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and Leonard Floyd. Feeling motivated and rejuvenated, more now than ever, Miller for the 2nd time in his career bounces back. In his career playing alongside Donald and the Rams, sure, playing with Aaron Donald, that plays a role for anyone on defense. You're playing with arguably the best defensive tackle we've seen since guys like Mean Joe Green, Randy White, Deacon Jones. I mean, Aaron Donald was just moving his way up there. And not only was he moving his way up, I mean, he's going up there with like Reggie White and all those guys. Aaron Donald's going to be a Hall of Famer, no question. Just the way he plays is dominant. He could get 2 offensive linemen on him. Sometimes he's even got 3 offensive linemen on him, and he still gets through that fucking line. It's insane. So Von, with the Rams now, he goes back to being himself, rushes the passer, has 31 combined tackles, 5 sacks, a forced fumble, and 1 pass deflection with the Rams in the regular season. In the postseason, starts all 4 games, plays all 4 games, wins a 2nd ring with his brand new team, and he's dominant with the Rams. Just a good showing, a good pairing with Aaron Donald. And knowing that the Rams just come off a Super Bowl win, they have no draft picks because they traded them all away to win that Super Bowl. McVay and that Rams front office did everything in their power to try and keep him on that team, along with other free agents, because they want to defend their title. You want to try and start a dynasty after you win that big game, after you win the Super Bowl. You got to go back out there and prove to the league, we're still the best team, we have our title, we're going to defend it, and we're going to win another one. So the Rams do everything they can to try and re-sign Von Miller, and there were multiple teams interested. Bills were never mentioned. Reporters did say there was a mystery team. Nobody mentioned who the mystery team was, of course, but there were multiple teams interested in Von Miller. Everybody wanted Von Miller, and Von Miller himself wanted to stay with the Rams. He also had interest in coming back to the Broncos. He wanted to come back to the Broncos. He put it on his Instagram story, but that never happened. All of a sudden, Von Miller signs with the team. Not just any team, but he signs with the Bills. Yes, the Buffalo Bills. Von Miller is now a Buffalo Bill. Still crazy to believe, honestly. Brandon Beane makes a huge splash in free agency. They're hoping that now this addition of Von Miller will be the final piece to get this team over the hump and win a Super Bowl. Now heading into year 6 of the McDermott era, this team now more than ever needs to win a Super Bowl. Like, we need to win a Super Bowl. Guys like Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, they're not getting any younger. We're still not sure what the future holds for Tremaine Edmonds, so we gotta win now. We gotta win now, is what I'm saying. Because eventually this defense will get older. Eventually guys on offense will get older. Josh will get older. You gotta win one for him. And yes, the Bills will be a Super Bowl contender with Allen at the helm. No question. Year in and year out. We have a good all-round built team, so we gotta win it now. They're hoping that this move will be enough to get the Bills over the hump finally. Because while the Bills have had great defenses with Sean McDermott, the sack numbers haven't been there. And they're hoping Von Miller can do that. When your team gets older and the seasons go on, you lose and you gain guys. What comes to mind is Levi Wallace for the Steelers. You have to be able to stay consistent and continue to add and keep the existing talent around you. Heading into the next season, this roster has become more expensive than ever since both McDermott and Beane have got here. Every trade, every draft pick, every signing, every guy that comes and visits matters. Beane himself said at the end of the year press conference, the league notices who you're looking at, who you're signing, who you're drafting, who you're talking to. And that's a fact. When the Bills signed Von Miller, heads turned, eyebrows, even eyeballs raised. I mean, we were all shocked. The Bills get a dominant pass rusher that they've been looking for. And now this is the move that will boost an already stacked Bills defense. This really will be the move that hopefully gets this team over the hump. And with Von Miller coming in, sure, he's 33 years old, but with him coming in, not only can he help this defense, maybe he can help these younger guys. And he's talked about that. He can definitely help the younger players. Gregory Rousseau, AJ Epinesa, Boogie Basham, guys like that need that kind of help. I think it's an all-around great addition for the Bills. I think it's great for the locker room, and I think it's great for the young guys that can be the future of this team. Because if you get a guy like Von Miller in there that can help develop players, not just this coaching staff, but an actual player on the field, that's going to help Buffalo in more ways than just one. So, according to Spock Track, Von Miller signs a 6-year, $120 million contract with the Buffalo Bills. It includes a $18.5 million signing bonus. A $51.5 million is guaranteed, like around $51.5 million is guaranteed. Average annual salary is $20 million. Now, despite it saying it is a 6-year contract, it is technically a 3-year contract. All the guaranteed money is in the first 3 years of this contract. There's a potential out in 2025 after the guaranteed money is gone. So it is technically a 3-year contract worth around $52 million. There is around $7 million in debt cap if the Bills were to use this out option on Von Miller in 2025. But those first 3 guaranteed years are with him being at the age of 33 through age 35. Now, ages 36 to 38, which he's technically under contract for, despite it being fake years, we don't know if he's going to be here that long. But if Von Miller plays at a high level at age 33, 34, and 35, he could be here at age 36, maybe 37, 38. But he's guaranteed to be here for at least 3 years, and he will definitely be a part of this new big 3 that Buffalo is forming. And I think it's a really good signing for this team. I mean, I was sitting in my hot tub about a week after the signing, and I was just listening to the birds in the backyard, because we got like woods in our backyard, just relaxing after a long week. And I remember it just hit me. I was like, Von Miller, we got Von fucking Miller. I mean, just insane, adding another superstar to this already stacked roster. It makes us wonder, as Bills fans, does cap space even exist? Is cap space just a myth? Because it's starting to seem like it with all these superstars and this honestly, the star power here. And we haven't seen anything like this in such a long time. Like I said in the previous video, we just would build through the draft and that was it. Now we have all these guys and it's just insane. It's insane. And I'm excited to see this defense with Von Miller. Never thought in a million years I would see Von Miller in a Buffalo Bills uniform. You would have told me this about 3 years ago, I'd be laughing in your face, because I'm like, there's no way Von Miller leaves the Broncos. Well, he gets traded to the Rams. Now he's a Buffalo Bill. It's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. That's a part of the NFL that it shows you it really, at the end of the day, is a business. Despite how many years you put into a franchise, Von Miller being with the Broncos for so long, it just proves at the end of the day, no matter what, no matter how good you are, no matter how much at the top you are at your position, anything can happen. You can get traded, cut. I mean, anything is possible in the NFL these days. It's crazy how much the business has changed. And now we're seeing all these moves in this offseason. It makes you think of the NBA. It really does. I mean, in the NBA, we have superstars leaving their team all the time. And it seems like that's what's happened this NFL offseason, something we have never seen, with all these big names moving in one season. It's been a long time since we've seen something like that. And it's certainly going to change the way the NFL is now. How this offseason went, it's going to change how everything else goes. It's going to change how everything goes in the draft. It's going to change how everything goes in the regular season. No, obviously. But it's just going to be crazy to see all the change and just exactly what happens and how the playoffs are going to look this coming year. And it's going to be absolutely nuts. It's going to be a fucking crazy year. And I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. Don't call me on Sunday. Don't fucking call me. Just don't. Because I'm going to be watching all these games and it's going to be nuts. And I'm all for it. I got no problem with that. I think this signing is going to help this team a lot because the Bills have tried to hit on the defensive line position for so long now since Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane have both got here. I mean, from Star Lotulelei, Trent Murphy to now, it's a completely different defensive line. I mean, us revamping our D-line, getting Jordan Phillips and Shaq Lawson back. Now you have Von Miller. You know, you draft Gregory Rousseau, you draft Boogie Basham, you draft AJ Epinesa, Mario Addison, Jerry Hughes, F.A. Obata. All those guys are gone. Vernon Butler, gone. Harrison Phillips, gone. I mean, a huge turnover for this defensive line. That, honestly, it's never a bad thing, I don't think. But if we're going to have Rousseau and Boogie Basham and Epinesa develop, you can't keep doing this platoon thing. There's no problem with putting fresh guys in, but if you're going to develop these guys, you got to give them some more playing time. And I think if you have Von Miller out there with Epinesa or Von Miller out there with Basham and even Ed Oliver, I mean, Ed Oliver's coming along, don't get me wrong, but you have him out there with all these young guys, they're going to listen. They're going to be ready when that ball is snapped. You have a guy out there, a leader like that. The Bills have a great defense, but you never notice that oomph. You know, like the Rams have Aaron Donald. They now have Bobby Wagner. The Bucs defense, they have Vita Vea up front. You have Devin White in the back, Levante David. They have that oomph. The Bills need that oomph, and Von Miller can be that oomph, that fucking badass motherfucker, that big guy on defense that you're circling in the film room. You're circling. You're like, watch 40, because this guy's gonna be all over the place, and the Bills need somebody like that, and it's gonna help in tremendous ways, I think, because I don't see how this signing could go wrong. We've seen signings go wrong though in the past in free agency, but I don't see how this signing could really go wrong. It's possible, don't get me wrong, knock on wood here, but I just don't think it will. Von Miller's played at such a high level for a long time. It just doesn't seem likely that he's going to just all of a sudden not be the same player. He's going to do good things on this Sean McDermott defense, I think. And with Von Miller coming to this team, makes you even more eager for football season. I just want it to be September. I want it to be football season. I want to watch Josh Allen sling that ball down the field. I want to watch Von Miller sack the quarterback. We're ready, man. The NFL draft's next week, and then the Buffalo Bills are going to get rolling. And the Bills Mafia is ready. We're ready. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Nobody circles the wagons the way the Slack and McCracken Sports Podcast does. This is just my thoughts. We're going to be going over the next episode, our pre-draft look, our look at the NFL draft. And then we'll be doing an episode after the NFL draft talking about what the Bills did, along with some of the other teams. So hopefully you stay tuned for that. Hopefully you watch this video till the end. This is Mike McCracken with the Slack and McCracken Sports Podcast, and these are just some thoughts on the Von Miller signing. Thank you.